Gang. Blouses.
All right, what's up? Welcome to week number 2, midweek 2. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to go over the Harden trade news. We're going to go over the Suns. Are they a problem? Is Victor Wembanyama here to stay? Is this going to be something that we see a lot? Are the Celtics starting 5 for real, or is this just inflated stats in the first 5 games? Are we good with Paolo, and do we have to hold off on the panic button for now? I was ready to push it, but we'll see. Got some injury news, got some free agent news, got some fantasy guys that you might want to look at if they're available in your leagues, and all kinds of other stuff. So here we go. We're going to dive right into it. All right, first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. James Harden is now a member of the LA Clippers. He has not played a game yet. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon, November 3rd, so we will see when he is going to officially suit up. I would imagine it's going to be sometime within the next couple of days, hopefully their next game. It's very exciting, I think, if you're a Clippers fans, but this is looking like some 2K My Team bullshit, and I'm a little nervous about what they have in their starting 5, to be honest with you, because somebody's going to have to lay down and jump on a grenade here and sacrifice themselves in terms of playing time, because you got a lot of star power, and you're going to end up playing small. I know Paul George is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league right now, and probably will be as long as he's out there and playing healthy, but playing that small is not very beneficial right now, especially with a lot of very big physical teams in that division and in the conference, too. So, yeah, I would say that this is probably the biggest news of the week. We were all kind of expecting this to eventually become a thing, but I didn't realize that it was going to be this soon. And, again, you know, James Harden gets traded for peanuts. No offense to those guys that were involved in the trade, but it's pretty ridiculous how this guy is, you know, a top 75 all-time player and has never been traded for another equivalent all-star or anybody that has his accolades or his stats or anywhere near it, to be honest with you. When he goes to Brooklyn from Houston, it was the same thing. It was a lot of guys that were involved in the trade that were not necessarily all-star level talent yet. I think that some of those guys involved in the trade will eventually be there and could be, but as of right now, that's not the case. So we'll see how this works out. Clippers are still obviously going to be a very dangerous team. I don't think that we're looking at something that is an issue. Obviously, you want to have a surplus of goods in the NBA, and they certainly have that right now. I'm a little worried about the bench. A little worried about the chemistry. Obviously, you know, James Harden has baggage that comes with him, and he's going to be an issue if things don't start going well all the time. You know, he talks a bold game when he knows he's already out of a situation, and is this going to be the same thing again? Or is he happy to be back with Russ? Is he finally okay with playing against guys that are, I guess, maybe more his speed? I don't know. I would imagine that this is going to be a lot of the same until he proves otherwise. I don't think we're going to see anything that is totally different from what we've seen in Houston and Philly and now, you know, LA. I don't even really count Brooklyn because I never saw him out there hardly. So, but yeah, that's the Harden trade news. What do you think? Did they fuck themselves? Did they give up too much? Did they get too little? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's get this out of the way because I am distraught. Literally in the last second of the game last night, and I say literally because it was literally 1.3 seconds left in this fucking game, and our starting center, who has had a very good stretch as of late, breaks his hand, fractures his hand. It's going to be probably 6 to 8 weeks, Wendell Carter Jr., so if you want to hang on to him and throw him in an IR slot in your fantasy leagues, give it a shot. But for me, 6 to 8 weeks is pretty significant for a guy who's not going to be a 20-10 guy. Excuse me, that's the puppy. He might be a 15-10 guy maximum, but there's a lot of scoring to be spread around that starting 5, and I would imagine that Paolo and Franz are going to take the brunt of it, no matter when he's coming back. So, might not be somebody that you want to hang on to. It sucks for us because we know that around November, December, somebody gets hit with an injury, and then it just continues to spiral out of control. It's a domino effect of just boom, boom, one after the other. So last night you get the news, but right before the game, that Markelle Fultz is sitting out because of knee swelling, and then something was in the air, and then Gary Harris goes out in the middle of the game with groin tightness, and then right at the buzzer, almost. He grabbed the rebound and secured the victory for us, so can't really be that mad about it. But there was definitely a moment of like, you've got to be fucking kidding me that this happened this close to the end of the game. We would have been totally fine, but it sucks, and we got to just move on. But those are 3 injuries in the span of one game that we all found out about. So once again, the Magic are injury-ridden, injury-prone, and the curse has not been lifted. I don't know who's going to do it for us, but one thing is for certain, I'm a little hesitant now to push the Paolo panic button, because he had a great game last night. 30 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of steals and blocks to get to pad onto that. So I'm good with what he's doing right now. Can we stretch it out, though? Can we get a little bit more out of him in a greater sample size, not just one game against Utah, who is not very good, sorry to say. Yeah, so I guess go Magic, ? Hopefully this gets worked out. Let us know if you think we're totally fucked, or if this is going to be something that we can work out. Can we slide Jonathan Isaac to the 5? Can we slide Paolo to the 5? Is Mo Wagner going to be a guy coming off the bench that we can rely on as a starting center? I don't know. So we will see. All right, let's talk about the Celtics real quick. I think this is pretty amazing. During the first 5 games, their starting 5, the lineup of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Derek White, their net rating right now is plus 37.3, and that is far and away better than anyone on this list that's even in the top 100. It's not even close. The Celtics playing this well for 5 games, it's pretty convincing that this is going to be a very dominant team for a long time this season, if they all stay healthy. They seem to be having fun. And we all know what the power of friendship means in the NBA. Looking at you, Gabe Vincent. In the grand scheme of it, I think that what we're looking at is a very dominant team, and a team that could potentially, if all things go well and they stay healthy, and maybe make one more move at the trade deadline to get somebody off of that bench, because their bench is shallow. Their top 5 are great. Top 6 are great. But I like Peyton Pritchard as a backup point guard, but is he going to be a guy that steps up and comes out, when your point guards get in trouble? I don't know. Do you want to run with Peyton Pritchard in the Eastern Conference semifinals against Milwaukee or Philadelphia or New York, Cleveland? Do you want to have him out there playing defense on somebody? I don't know. I wouldn't, but that's me. So I think we're looking at a very good team, and 37.3 is nothing to sneeze at. 5 games is, I think, enough to go, all right. And they've beaten some good teams. They've beaten Miami, who always is a problem for them, seemingly. They beat New York in a tough one, and anybody that you beat by 51 points is, come on. I don't care who you're beating, but you're beating a team by that much. That's pretty wild. And the starters didn't play the entirety of the fourth quarter, which is great. All right, here are some guys that you might want to take a look at if you haven't already done so. A lot of these guys are not going to be available anymore, but top 3 in percentage of change in roster, meaning that they are the most added players, essentially, of the week. Cam Thomas at 1, Jalen Duren at 2, Max Strus at 3, which he laid a fat egg for me the other night, so I don't know what's going on with that. Jalen Johnson from Atlanta, and then Dennis Schroeder, who I have on my team currently. I think he's a guy that you might want to hang on to. He's top 5 in assists per game. He is running with the Raptors, who really don't have another option at the point guard. I know that they always try to implement some of their point forward mentality with Siakam and Scotty Barnes and OG, but a lot of the times it's just going to be Schroeder out there dishing it. And he's had a great few games. 4 out of his last 5 were double doubles with assists. And he, right now, he's averaging 15 and 9. So it's or 16 and 9, really, if you round it up. He's playing great. 68.2%. That's how many leagues he's rostered in. 68.2% of ESPN leagues. So something to take a look at. But if you want to grab somebody who is doing very well, I would say if you don't have him already and he's available in your league, go go grab him if you need some points. But Cam Thomas is lighting it up. 28 points a game. He's currently top 10 in points per game right now of eligible players. And not going to get you a lot of assists. That's a given, 1.8 a game. And that's got to be inflated by one game where he had 4 or something. Shooting very well from the free throw line as well. So maybe a guy that you keep an eye on, Cam Thomas, not only in fantasy league, but in real life. This guy is a very exciting player to watch. He goes against my old head mentality where like I don't like a lot of guys that play a playground style, but he's making the most of his opportunity in Brooklyn. They have a couple of guys go down. Cam Johnson is down. And Nick Claxton, I believe, is still on the mend. Dinwiddie day to day. So there's a lot of things in Brooklyn that are going to swing his way if they keep running into the injury problems. A lot of it's little tweaks here and there, little minor stuff, but he's still going to get his minutes and could potentially win a starting spot. And who knows, if he's available in your league and you need points, go grab that motherfucker, because I wish I did and I didn't. So
you blew it.
Fucking blew it. The most dropped guys, and I have to apologize because I said some wild shit in the beginning of this season. I made some predictions that I think are stupid, and I think a lot of people in Portland are asking,
what the fuck?
About Scoot Henderson. That is not a good situation going on. He's currently still rostered in 71.5% of leagues, but he has had an 18% decrease in rosters. So right now he's sitting at 8.8 points a game, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. I get it. You're only 5 games in. It's not looking great. That's the 3rd overall pick. Portland seems to have issues with implementing him into the offense with Shaedon Sharpe. You have Anthony Simons that will be back. It's not going to be soon, but he will be back. So we'll see what we can make of that. But as far as I can tell, a lot of people in Portland are not very happy with that. So let's take a look at some others here. We have Christian Wood, who I knew was going to be an issue because, again, I just don't really know if I've seen a guy who just it just looks like he doesn't enjoy playing basketball when he's out there. I mean, it's, you have to have some sort of fire and passion and emotion on your face when you're playing the game. That's what all the greats do. And I get it. It's a broad generalization of things and whatever. T-Mac always looked like he was falling asleep out there, and he still put 30 on your head all the time. But it's just one of those things where Christian Wood, for me, just does not pass the eye check, and I don't think he's going to be a big boost for the Lakers. He'll be somebody that can kind of tread water for them a little bit if they're really in some issues early on in games. But 8-8 is not something that you want from a guy who a couple seasons ago was a 20-10 threat in Houston. That was asked to do that in Dallas and didn't do that. I mean, they got him on a great deal based on some of these contracts that are unfucking believable going on in the NBA right now. And that's a whole nother discussion. But another guy that's down 16.1% of being rostered in leagues is Josh Hart. I don't see any problem with this. I have an issue separating myself at times from fantasy guys from actual, what they're going to give you in the actual game. I think Josh Hart is a rare exception of one of those guys he is a guy that for me, any team that I would root for, any team that I wanted to succeed, Josh Hart has to be a part of that team. You can't really put into numbers what he is doing for you at all times. You can't express it enough how important a guy like that is to just be a guy who is low volume in basically everything, but he's going to get his hands in the passing lane. He's going to play good defense on the perimeter. He's going to hustle. He's going to get to the spot that he needs to be in. He'll be in the right place at the right time down the stretch. I like this. Is he a viable fantasy option at this point? The answer is a 100% no. Another guy that I'm looking at right now and kind of keeping an eye on because we know he has the ability to just pop off and go crazy, and Sacramento was a very streaky team with this, but Kevin Huerter's got to step it up, man. Only rostered in 54.4% of leagues He's down from 69.9 a week ago. And it's just something that, it's something that a lot of people are, I'm sure, guessing on, in terms of how well he's going to do going forward. And with De'Aaron Fox, being out and kind of working his way back, Herter's still, he's playing 26 minutes a game, but he is shooting abysmally from the field. I mean, he's sitting right now at about 30%, just under 30%, shooting 75 from the line, and just not really doing it. 7 and 6 rebounds, so it's something to look out for. So just keep an eye on all of that, and maybe it's a guy who pops off that you can kind of mark interested in your league, and then when he starts to put up a couple of good games, try to grab him. But for now, I would say stay away from that. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about this. We haven't seen Bradley Beal yet. Booker just came back after a few games out, and Kevin Durant is just being Kevin Durant. He's efficient. He's not shooting very well from the free throw line this season. He's down a lot more than he was back in those OKC days. He was shooting 92% from the line. I mean, just insane stuff. So I think the Suns might be in a little bit of hot water here. I think they're going to have some questions to answer very soon from fans and management and analysts and just fans of the game overall. I think we are looking at a team that has big Brooklyn Nets vibes here. Obviously, we know the drama that happened with Kyrie a couple seasons ago. Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant barely played together, but they were one of the most hyped teams. When Bradley Beal ended up getting dealt to the Suns, it was a huge thing. They're like, oh, this is going to be a mid-range. I mean, it's going to be a mid-range absolute assassin that is added to an already great mid-range team. Where is he? Are we going to play? Are we not going to play? He's missed, 100 and something games of 315, I think, last. And this is not anything new. So the Suns, again, I stated my issues with them in the preseason episode. They're going to have problems offensively. There's not a lot of schemes that they're going to throw at you that are going to be wildly successful outside of an isolation, an occasional pick and roll from Nurkic that'll work because he's a great screener. But in terms of implementing a third scoring option into this, I don't see how it's going to work. So it might. Maybe they're lengthening this injury because they just don't have a place for him yet. I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense to me. There was no talk about him being hurt before, and then all of a sudden, pre-tip off, it's like, oh yeah, he's not going to play, and he won't play for a couple weeks. Okay, so what are we doing here? Are we going to continue to lose games to the Spurs? No disrespect to the Spurs, but their guy that killed you last night has played 6 games in the NBA or 5 games in the NBA. I mean, Spurs were also down 20 on Wednesday night. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Durant thinks he gets fouled. Keldon Johnson strips it from him, finishes a tough contested bucket to go up. And then, Phoenix runs a little side out of bounds play for Kevin Durant to catch and fade in the corner and just get something up with 1.5 seconds left and doesn't go in. But you're up 20 in that game. You're up 20 points. It's crazy. You're up 20 points to a team that has not played together, and their biggest piece, their newest piece, the most operative piece in all of this has played very minimal time with the rest of these guys. And he killed you both nights. Both nights, he stepped up and he did what anybody that would be a 5-year veteran on a team that's hungry for a championship would do. He looks ready to play, man. This is the issue that everybody was talking about. Is this guy too skinny? I said this. Is he too skinny? Is he gonna get fucking physically dominated by these guys that are stronger, faster, and just more experienced than him? No, he's not. He's not. He has not been dominated yet. He's not gotten a welcome to the league moment yet. Okay? So maybe we're waiting on that. Maybe this is going to be something that maybe it won't happen at all. Maybe he's going to have the most historic rookie career since LeBron James. I don't know. But as of right now, the Suns, You look like shit, and you got to get it together, because as an NBA fan who enjoys watching good basketball, you guys are not it right now, and this is a problem to have. I don't give a fuck what you say about who you play and how difficult it is to play with one of your star players out. You have two other guys that could be considered top 10 on any given night. Two guys. There are teams that are beating you that don't have one of those guys at all. They have nobody off that bench that's going to give you any minutes. Josh Okogie is holding it down on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know if anybody else on that team plays fucking defense. I don't know. They lost a lot of key pieces. You know, they lose Saric, they lose Ayton, they lose Campaign, they lose Chris Paul. They lose a lot of action that can deepen that team for a guy who hasn't played a game yet. Not saying that all of those guys were involved in that trade, but you made space for that guy to come here, and he hasn't done anything yet. Bradley Beal, let's get it going. I want to see you play, man. I really do. I want to see this big three in action. I want to see the all-time mid-range team that they're talking about. But as of now, it just looks like shit. That's all I can say. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you set those lineups, use all those acquisitions, and leave us a comment. Let me know that you disagree, you agree, tell me to go fuck myself, whatever, but that's been it for us. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. Game Blouses.
Game Blouses.